we're going to go through this. This by itself, each of the points that I will cover will take, by itself could take half a day. Each of the points, and I will cover through it. So this journey, I started, and some of you bear with me because you've seen the slides, but this slide is an important one for me. It's from Salemeh. If you do not know to which port you are sailing, no winds is favorable. And this has been the logo in terms of my mantra in life, is trying to see, and I read a number of books, I mentioned it. Viktor Frankl is one of the person who influenced me. Viktor Frankl, do you know who Viktor Frankl is? Nobody knows. He invented a concept called logotherapy. What is logo? What is the meaning of logo? I'm sorry? Facts. Logo is knowledge. Knowledge. Therapy is you treat by knowledge. So he basically went through concentration camps. And he made it through concentration camps. And then he said, you know, how come some people made it and some people didn't make it? And interestingly enough, it was not the youngest, it was not the fittest who made it. It was the people who were convinced that their life was not over, they still have a life project to continue and to achieve. And this need, strong need to be able to complete their life project was the most important elements that allow them to overcome the absurdities and the destruction that you have in concentration camp. So the message, he said, it's fine. He took it, and what he did, he's a psychiatrist. So he was sitting with his patient who went through severe depression because of different reasons, and he was helping them define what is their life project. By helping them define and shape this life project, then the person had much greater chance to be able to overcome the obstacles in life. All of you would have obstacles. You have obstacles in terms of your marriage is not working, you have deaths in your family, you have bankruptcies, you have failures, you have people who you trusted, and all these are disappointments that affect you. The clear is what you're trying to do in terms of your goal in life, not only in terms of making 5 million or 10 million or 100 million, but what you're trying to achieve in life. The easier it is for you in your sailing boat, in this water that is extremely tumultuous with a lot of winds, with a lot of tempests. So the message to you is, and this is the theme in the presentation, what is your life project? What do you want to leave behind, what you're not going to be here? In 50 years, in 70 years, in whatever it is, what do you want to leave behind? In my mind, what I'm doing now is my life project. Bringing Stanford here is my life project. And this is what I've been working 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I've been starting to do this. When I first worked with Veritech, my question to you is, what is your life project? And when you want to come back afterwards, and you want to discuss it, I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and trying to help you once you have a life project, how are you going to get there? Because this is the most important question in your life. The raison d'être, why are you here? Okay, so this is the theme, and it's a theme that is going to continue throughout the presentation. So this is not from me, it's from Salemeh, it's a Greek philosopher. So you cannot read it, so I'll read it for you. What are the different steps in this journey to investment readiness? Now, Corinne might say, Constantin, I might change this, put this or the other. It's fine. It's not a one size fits all. Each one of you will take bits and pieces of it, but I'll bet you that some of the pieces will apply to you and you'll have to implement it. You might not use all of them, but some of them you have to use. Others you need to be aware of because in the future you might want to use them. So what are the different steps? The first step, I call it the 12M. I came up with this model with the 12M. So it's basically understanding what is working and what is not working with you and with your company. So today you have a company. This company is producing, or you will have a company. You're talking, if it's not a company, if you don't have a company, Rida doesn't have a company. He's have himself, he has a few team, he has people who trust in him. And then some things are strong, are working strong in the case of Rida, but there are other cases that are today challenges that he needs to overcome. So the first thing I'm asking you is take the mirror and have a look at yourself. So the role of the coach is to help you hold the mirror in front of yourself. And then I'm asking you to be honest about what you see. Honest about yourself, honest about your company, honest about what's working, honest about what's not working. Then I'm asking you to have the courage to work on what is not working and to do changes that you have to do in your life. Because if you don't have the courage, you continue doing the same thing that you've been doing in the past, it's not going to work. So at one point in time, you need to have this inflection point and you need to be able to address the issues that you have and to do it in a way that sometimes could be difficult. And sometimes, and I'll give you some example of it. So this is the first step, which is the gap analysis. I encourage you, I have been doing my own gap analysis for the past, I'm now going to be 60 years. I'll be celebrating in hiking in the Alps with a few friends. So what we do here is I've been doing this from the age of 22. when I first were interviewed for jobs, I sat down and I wrote my own gap analysis, the own areas. What are the strong points? What are my values? What do I want to do in life? And every 3 to 5 years, I would review it. And I have this booklet. I'm going to give it to my 2 sons. And you have tracing me back from the age of 22 to now the age of 60 and continuing. So this booklet is something that helped me understand who I am, helped me understand where I want to go, helped me understand how to get there in terms of the different steps. It's a bit like a journal, but I only would fill it once every 3 to 5 years, whenever I had an important decision to make in my life, either job-related or partnership-related or other-related. So this is the first step. It's about the gap. And I'll show you what are the 12 M's that we're going to talk to. The second is some of you here, those who are here, I see yesterday Hannah was facilitating a meeting with, I forgot the name, was it you who facilitated? Raisha? Aisha. So Aisha was facilitating, these are students. These were what, second year or third year students? Second and your third year student. They use the business model canvas. They showed them the business model canvas, which is a summary of what I showed you in terms of the transformation plan. These are second and third year students, and they were filling their transformation, their business model canvas. So this is a way for you to help conceptualize what your company is all about. Very simple. You look at things and you have discussion elements behind, but it's an important why, because it leads you to the transformation plan. Now, I showed you about the transformation plan. I will cover the content of it, but this is a thing that you don't do alone, that you do with your team. Ideally, you do it with people who could help you and add value to it and to your team. So this is the third step, is have your transformation plan. And I showed you how Stanford does it. You take the courses, you do the workshop, you get to the transformation plan. Some of you will do your transformation plan alone. It's fine, but it's not the ideal. The important thing is to get the inputs not only of your team, not only of the advisors, but who else? Customers. It all starts and it ends with your customers. Understanding, what are you doing here? You're here to address a need. You're here to address a pain point. What is this pain point? So get your customers in, because they will tell you what is their pain point. And they will tell you whether your product is addressing this pain point or not. And they will also tell you whether your product is doing better than the other products. So you need to know what is available on the market and what differentiates you from the rest. All these elements are from your customers. What else do you get? You get your people, you get advisors, you get customers. Who else could help you in putting together your transformation plan? The employees. We said the team. Who else? I'm sorry? You have a coach. You could have a coach. Who else? Investors. Competitors, ideally, if you could get some views in competitors, it's difficult because this is sensitive information, but it's important to understand what competitors are doing. So get a view. Because the question that I'm going to ask you as an investor is, why do I go to you versus going to the other? And if you don't have a clear question, a clear answer to it, this will be for me, would be an issue. And not only what differentiates you today, but how are you going to sustain this differentiator in 3 years or 5 years down the road? So this is quite an important question. So what is your customer value proposition? What is your unique selling proposition? What is your competitive differentiator today? How can you sustain it over a period of time? And these questions are difficult to answer, but these are part of the question that you need to do in terms of your transformation plan. So competitors, you said investors. Investors are important because ultimately, even if it's potential investor, for instance, Rula has a friend who has been heading the private equity fund of the Olayan for 20 years. She wants to set up her own business. He's a friend. Bring the friend in. He will give you some feedback whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. Bring people who have, because ultimately this is going to go to investors. So you need to make sure that investors have at least a way to input or a way to help you shape it. Okay? So these are potential stakeholders that could help you in terms of the... So this is your transformation plan. Now, part of the transformation plan is step number 4. It's your financial plan. Your financial plan, some of you have no company. Some of you have a company and have been delivering for 2 to 3 years, and they will be now launching. So you have, depending whether you have or you don't have, if you have a company, I want to know what you've done over the past 2 to 3 years. Rula, what is the name of your sister? Rana? Rana. So Rana, for instance, how long have you been operating? 2013. So you have behind you about 3 years of operation. I will ask, how did this develop over the past 3 years, and how is this moving along? So I need to understand the past behind it. This is the financial plan, but most importantly, once you have a transformation plan, how is this transformation plan going to reflect on your financial projections over the next 3 to 5 years? because this is critical. It's critical because this is the figures that the investor would look at in order to try to be able to size and value your company and decide how much shares am I going to take. If I'm putting $500,000 in your company, how much is the value of the company? So these financial projections, and you say, Constantin, I hate finance. I always hated finance. I barely would go and look at my checkbook and trying to balance my account. You don't need to know it. You need to be familiarized with it, but you need to have someone who is strong in your team who could understand it, because it's an important element of your business plan. So this is the fourth step. It's the financial plan. It's showing how your transformation plan is going to impact what you've been doing in the past and impact what you're going to be working over the next 3 to 5 years. And it takes time. And once you have it, because my role is to kick the tires of all financial plans. This is what we've been doing in investment committees. We kick, we ask questions, we push back on assumptions. This is what we do, is we give you a hard time. Well, I forgot your name. I'm sorry? Siron? So Siron came, and Siron is launching her company, and then she came in, and probably, and after going to the dentist, it was the second most painful experience, is to go through an investment committee in terms of the question we're asking her. So Siron was here, what was it, 2 days ago? It was 2 days ago. It was part of an investment committee where she presented her idea, and we gave her some questions, and she felt uncomfortable. And the more uncomfortable you are, the more you need to go through these sort of sessions. And here she was with friendly people. They were nice people, no? It was friendly people that we had. But I tell you, normally investment committees tend to be extremely hard, extremely harsh. Now we have a board meeting afterwards with Rami and with Sami. And it's going to be a tough board meeting, because there's going to be a tough, and there are a lot of expectations from shareholders, and sometimes you feel that you are treated very badly. People's ego are bruised because they believe that their baby is the most beautiful baby in the world. The reality is you have a number of other babies that are doing similar sort of things, and you are here trying to protect your baby, and finding this right balance is sometimes extremely difficult. But this is part of the financial plan. Now the fifth step is the investment plan. Because all of you will come and say, Constantin, Rima, how much are you asking? You will be asking, you think, in your second phase. Once you prove your concept, how much you think you'll need? You know what? At Monday? Okay. Let's say she needs about 500K. So 500K in order to, now I'm asking, because some of you I know, because I've been meeting with you and helping you work. In the case of Rima, her grandfather or father? The father was producing the soap in Tripoli, so if you have not been to the Tripoli old souks where they produce the soap, you have to go. It's a very important experience. So she took it in honor to her father, but also she's convinced, and she added her, which is basically essential oils, and she started it in London. She was based in London, she did it, she convinced Harrods to move in, she convinced others in the US, so she has a proof of concept. And now she decided she wants to go back to Lebanon. This is where her roots are. She's in Tripoli, and she commutes to come and attend these workshops, and she wants to, now I said, do it, get me your first $200,000 in terms of revenue, show me that your customers are happy, show me that you have a distribution channel, and then ask for the money to expand. Expand geographically, expand in terms of your machinery. Now let's say she's going to ask for $500,000. The first question, which is step 5, is how much money do you need? She doesn't, her answer is ad ma andak. Okay, but the answer is not. You need to have a very clear idea in your mind, what do you need? So this is the first question. What is the second question that I will ask as an investor? So the first question is, how much do you need? What is the second question? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to use the money for? What is going to be the use of the money? And then we go through each of the details. Third question, one is how much? Then what you're going to do. Third question is what? Is what returns. What return is? You have different projects that you're going to do. So in the case of, I'm talking Rima's case, she wants to move from Tripoli to Beirut. She wants to expand in Beirut. She wants to expand her factory. She wants to start selling in Dubai and selling. She wants to have online shopping on it. So there's going to be a number of initiatives where she's going to use her $500,000 or her $1 million. Now my question to her, and the investor question, is why these investments and what sort of return I'm going to get in this investment. All these questions are answered under the investment plan. So you need to be prepared how much money you need, what are you going to use the money, how much return we're going to have, how do I measure the return. There is another workshop. We go through it, we explain to you how we measure return. Now Rima should know about it because she went through the workshop. Now, we have the amount of money. We know how much she's going to use it for. We know what is the return on it. What are the other questions? Part of the investment plan. What is the other question? So, So we said the exit. So the exit so the return. So the return is if I'm putting, I need to know how much is going to, so it's a real case. So we have Rima, she's asking me $500,000. She's telling me these are, I'll give you a summary of what she's doing. We have an idea about the return. What is the other question?
Who's your team?
I mean, you have the team, but more in terms.
How are you going to sustain it?
I'm sorry?
Sustain it.
I mean, you could sustain it, but there is another question. We're talking about the investment plan now. So valuation. I'm giving him 500,000. How much should I take? I mean, she has a beautiful smile. She has a lot of charm. She's a very passionate lady. But at the end of the day, I'm putting $500,000 in her company. Should I take 5% or should I take 40%? We don't know. You need to know. You need to know, if you are going to attract capital, you need to know what is the value of your company. And for this, there is also another set of workshop to help you understand how do you value a company, which is more an art than a science. You could ask Corinne, she's the investment manager in IAM Capital. We could discuss valuation back and forth. At the end of the day, we end up finding an answer, because I'm sure, I forgot your name again? Siron? It's not an easy name to remember, because she came and she has a certain idea of valuation, and Corinne tried to brief her up. She said, look, these guys in the investment committee are tough guys. If you come up with a figure that is too high, they're going to bounce on you, you know. So it is, so she is briefing the coaching, and then she's getting the shower, a cold shower, in terms of what the real value of her company is on the basis of what she has. But she's convinced she has the best thing on earth. She's going to help improve the Arabic skill learning for all the students and help professors be more effective in teaching Arabic. Now, you had it for us, you had it for, I'm doing free advertising. So we have it for us and on it, but she is there and she's passionate, and nobody else is doing it in Lebanon. So and potentially we could do this on a more regional scale. And she feels that this could be a huge potential in the country for professors, for the owners, for parents, and for, of course, for the children behind. But we bring her back to earth and we say, look, this is how we go about valuating. And at the end of the day, she said, okay. And then she didn't, I don't know if she said okay. She said okay. No. Anyway, so this is important that you're prepared. If I have spent half a day with her before she went to the investment committee and briefed her on what really the value is and what are the values driver behind it, she might have gotten 50% more in terms of valuation of her company. So this is what I'm telling you. You need to prepare yourself, and you need to know how much is the value, and you need to know how to negotiate with the investors to be ready to do this. This is all part of the investment plan. Once you've, yes, question.
How important is it to have different scenarios in the financial plan? Because someone might tell you, okay, I'm going to put that much money for that valuation, and you can say
Hannah,
the you can say the valuation is okay, but you know what, I'm going to take 1/3 of that money and I'll have scenario B instead to move forward with.
Okay, now scenario planning is very important. What is scenario planning? Is in the case of Rida is coming up with a breakthrough in terms of technology. So this is what we call disruptive technologies, being used a lot in the media. So he incorporates in any media. For instance, I'm holding this glass and he's filming me. With his technology, he could have over here immediately incorporate a logo. So this is shown, and this is done automatically. Today it's done manually. In most of the cases it's done manually. He's going to automate this process, and this could be worth fortune because a number of companies will be interested in it. Now, in his case, you have 3 scenarios. He could fail completely. He could be, I mean, we will have spent $2 million, $3 million in funding him, and then ultimately somebody else is coming up with a better idea that is completely a breakthrough, and this could not work. So this is one scenario. It's a possible scenario on the financial plan that whatever is the projection is, the only sure thing is the cost that he's hiring people, how much salary he's going to pay, how much money we're going to fund it. This is sure, because we know how much we're going to give him. He knows who he's going to hire. He knows how we're going to pay them. This is sure. The unsure is about the revenue. Are the revenue going to come in a year, 2 years, 3 years? We don't know. He's claiming in 2 years, Constantin, you'll see the first revenue. I'm telling the investment committee maybe it's going to take 3 years and maybe 4 years, but actually it doesn't matter. Because if he has proven his concept, there might be some investor who's interested in coming and taking this company, even though he might not have sold it because of the need that, and the pain point that he's addressing. So one scenario, to answer your question, is a worst case scenario. Another scenario is a most likely scenario. A third scenario is an aggressive scenario where indeed indeed he has cracked it. Indeed, this is a $10 billion market. Indeed, he's the first one to come to this market and to address it in an automatic way. And indeed, this company could be worth $1 billion in 3 years or 5 years down the road. And we, as Beritech, who would have funded him, we will have generated, and IM Capital, who matched the funding, would have generated quite return. But these are scenario planning, are part of your financial plan. The worst case, the real case, the best case, you need to prepare yourself, you need to state your assumptions, and this is where the discussions will take from the investors to the audience. Did I answer your question or not completely?
Because, you're basically taking in a certain valuation and a certain amount raised.
Yes.
And you're saying best case scenario, worst case scenario, middle case.
Yes.
What I was referring to was three different types, different scenarios of how much money raised at which valuation.
Okay, all right.
And you know, sometimes you get offered a certain valuation.
Yes.
And you think to yourself, perfect.
Yes.
You know what? I'll take less money and I'll do other things with it.
Yes.
And we'll just go on a different trajectory.
Okay.
Perhaps I'll raise another round in 6 months.
Okay. So this is also, you see, what you see about speakers is they take the question and they interpret it the way they want, and then they answer because they've realized that they forgot something to present. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the second time and still not answer his question. You'll see. So what he is, I forgot your first name. David? Okay, David. So what happened is the following, is that, who am I going to choose? Take Rima's case. Rima is next to you. So Rima would say, she came and said, Constantin, I need money now. I said, now is the wrong time. So now what you need to do, put your own money, put your parents' money, put your family money, whoever you think, put the money and prove your concept. Then come back. And then get your 500K. So you have the first round of money. Then what you do is when you're going to run, you go through a second phase or the third phase. So what you do, and most of you as companies will not get money once. You're going to get money in terms of steps money. Even if we decide to fund Rida, he's asking for 3 million. We're not going to give him 3 million. We'll start maybe with 500K or with 1 million, give some milestone, meet the milestone, and then we go to a second round and a third round. And venture capital companies, private equity companies will work this way. So you have to plan in your mind that you are going to raise money across the time, because the more because if you raise a lot, you might be diluted. You might, because the value of your company is low. If the value of company is 1 million and you want to raise 1.5, you're going to be diluted. Diluted means you're not anymore the captain on the board. If I'm putting 1.5 and your company is worth 1, I'm getting more than 50% share of your company, and you don't want this. So this is why you do it in step way. Take some money, increase the value, take some more money, increase the value, take some more money, increase the value, and then be able to do it. Did I still do not answer your question?
Whether you have one scenario or three scenario, that's not going to affect the value at which we're going to give to your company. It will show us only the upside that we're actually looking at. And it really depends on the money that you actually need to be able to achieve your worst case scenario, best case scenario, or like the middle scenario. So it's all going to be measured. But if you give us 3 scenarios, your valuation today will be exactly the same, because we're going to take a look at what historically what you have done and what in reality you'll be able to achieve in the next 12 months. You can tell me in year 5 that you'll be able to achieve 2 million or 10 million or 50 million. That's not going to affect the value at which I'm going to value you today. Because we're taking a risk with you. We're going to be your partners.
We're not talking about the valuation. We're assuming a set valuation. What I was asking about was a different amount of money raised, which, you know, I was asking if it's feasible to go to an investor and say, look, you can give me this much, or this much, and this is what I can do with this stuff. And I'm open to all 3, because doing this in a market like Lebanon, with a small amount of investors, doing this gives you more optionality, because then you can go to angels if, let's say, you didn't get a good option from venture capital.
You do. So you could have options, and a number of companies do this. They will take some money from IM Capital, they will take some money from another fund, they might take some money from a business angel. Typically, for instance, I use Rima. In her case, it's her own money. What I'm asking her now, she probably needs about 50 to 100,000. I don't think she needs more than this. Then she either get it from a family or she goes to a business angel. So normally the higher risk is when you put your own money. And this is, I as an investor, I'm always interested in people who have put, it might not be their own money. In your case, she has been working 2 years without a job, but 2 years of her life has been focusing on developing the solution that she's going to offer. This for me is an investment of her time. You know, her partner has invested 50% for 2 years. So the first thing is get your own money, get your own time on it. The second is you go to business angels. They are willing to take more risks. business angel, so probably she will go the next phase is I might be her business angel. I might decide to put $200,000 or $250,000, and I have return expectations which are higher because I'm taking more risk. She has just barely proven her concept, and she might be. Then there is a third phase. A third phase when she has the concept, then she goes to Corinne, or she goes to Maroon, or she goes to venture capital, to Berry Tech, and then she gets to venture, and then she gets 2 or 3 or 4 million, but the risk is already lower, so the return that these people are going to make is lower than the return that I'll be making because I'll be the business angel. So to answer your question, yes, you could do 1 or 2 or 3. Once the valuation is set, you decide, and this decision is actually one of the points. It's a very important decision because you're not going to go for only the person who is bringing you the money. You want to go for intelligent money. You want to go for people who could really help you resolve the pain points that you have. Yesterday we had Sumaya. She's also in Tripoli. I want very much to get to know her. Sumaya is here. Sumaya said, what do I need you? What are you going to bring to me as my company? This is my company. She's a tough lady, you know, so she is here, and she's providing these, you probably know, she has the bread, and she has also the non-wheat, bread and basket? Bread basket. So bread basket, she is here. And in her mind, it is not about only the money, it's about what are we bringing as I Am Capital or as Berry Tech, not Berry Tech, it's only I Am Capital in this case, to be able to help her fund. Okay, so this is, so let me go back. So this is the investment plan. We are still at step 5. It's like the chemin de croix. You have 12 phases in here. So you have step 6 is then the sources of capital. This is answering some of your question. The sources of capital is who do I take it? Do I take it from a business angel? Do I put the money myself? Or I convince my father or my mother or my boyfriend or my girlfriend to be able to invest with me? Or should I go to a VC? Or should I go to Khater? Khater has been sitting with me and Sami on the first fund of Berry Tech. Do you know who Khater is? Khater is the head of Kafalat. So Khater started Kafalat a long time ago, and Kafalat has funded hundreds of companies with subsidized loans. You have subsidized loan that you get, very low interest, 2%, 3%, sometimes even lower on these loans behind it. So this is another way of sourcing. Now, we will go through what are the pluses and the minuses of going to Kafalat versus going to Berry Tech versus going to a business angel. But at the end of the day, it's not only about how much money you're going to get, is what is the value that you're going to extract from the people who are putting the money in it. So this is I keep coming back to, I look at Hannah. Hannah, are you married or not? Okay, are you planning to get married one day or not? No plan to get married, okay. And she knows the question. So are you married or not? You're not married too. So the question I've asked her the question is what is the most important decision in your life? So I've asked a question for the one BB in the past. Hala is hiding behind Hala. So so the most important, what do you think the most important decision in your life is? Good or bad? Good or bad? You could screw up completely. What? It's more important than career. What could screw up your career? Your partner. If whoever is your soulmate, whoever is the woman or the man that you end up living with, if it doesn't work, you basically have made. So it's important. So when you go and ask Rula how much time she's spending before deciding on who to marry, she would tell you, or any one of you, would take a lot of time. This decision, this process of deciding whether this person is the right match is a very important decision, probably the most important decision in your life. Good or bad? Because if it's bad, then you better cut it and not wait for years before deciding on how to move in. Or if it's good for you, and then you continue and you grow together. The second most important decision is who you're going to choose as your funding partner. The funding partner is also he's maybe not getting in bed with you, but I tell you, it's very close to getting in bed with you, because he will be looking at everything in your company. He will be looking at all the accounts, how you spend your money, how you hire people, what are the key decisions. And sometimes you wish that it would have, your wife is not as tough or your husband is not as tough. So this is quite important that you choose a person who has similar values, who has similar interests, who has a similar vision, who has an understanding of who you are as a person, who your company is, what your company is trying to do. And most of you do not spend the time on this. Most of you sign, take the money, and then you realize, shit, I'm in a wrong marriage. with the investor. And a number of companies that failed did not fail because the company was not successful, did not fail because the strategy was not, it was the right strategy, it was the right team, it was the right execution, it was a complete misfit between the shareholders and between the founders of the company, and this results into divorce, and these could be extremely expensive and very sad because you realize that you have put a lot into this company and suddenly it doesn't work out. So this step in terms of the different sources of capital is important. Is what do I choose? Do I go for debt? Do I go for equity? If I go for debt, there are different types of debt. If I go through equity, you have different types of equity also behind it. And most importantly, who is the person going to provide and what is he bringing to me more than just money? So this phase, now beside each point, as I said, it's half a day. Half a day worth. There are, now the slide set that you will receive goes into a bit more detail. Here I've summarized it to 50 slides. We're only at the first slide, by the way, on this. So we will probably will not have the time to go through it, but I'll be more than happy to sit down with you afterwards if you are interested. So the investment plan and the different sources of capital. You need to ask yourself, don't jump into equity because you think equity is the right thing. In some cases, I discourage you. If you have a great product and a great ideas and you're sure that it's going to, why do you want to dilute your capital? Why do you want to have Corinne on board who is going to tell you what to do and not to do? Go get some debt, low interest debt, and do it and get all the benefits for yourself. Don't need to dilute yourself on it. So in some cases we have, if we do and you don't want to do debt, it's because sometimes you're not even sure of your plan. This sends me a wrong signal in terms of your willingness to want to do it. But this is questions that you need to be asking yourself.